Hey guys, it is Michelle and I am here with another Top 5 Wednesday video. I have all the information about how to join Top 5 Wednesday linked below if you are interested. This week's topic is the top 5 books that made you think, and I absolutely loved this topic. At number 5 on my list is Searching for Sky by Gillian Cantor. And this was described as a reverse dystopian. I found it on NetGalley and actually got approved to get the advanced reader's copy digitally. I really enjoyed the story. I ended up giving it 5 stars. It is about a young man and a young woman who are in their teens, and they have been living on island since they were like 3 or 6 years old, something between those ages. He was brought by his father, she was brought by her mother, and they have learned to survive on this island. The mother and the father have since passed away, and so the 2 teenagers are surviving there alone. When an opportunity comes to be rescued and taken to the United States, which it turns out is where they are from. So Sky's perspective, the young lady, is just fascinating as she goes from being strong and independent and feeling like she belongs on island, where she knows River is her friend and she can depend on him and she knows how to get food, they have a good shelter, they have a good system going, to coming into a modern society and not feeling strong and supported at all. It was just a unique lens to look at modern society through the eyes of someone who was raised in a remote place, and just really made you question all the things in society that make it so complicated nowadays, and we don't even realize because we were pretty much born into it. So I thought that was fascinating, and that really made me think. Number 4 on my list is Stolen by Lucy Christopher, and this is written as a letter from a captive to her captor, and it really tells the story of what went down in that situation. Now, Gemma was kidnapped from an airport and taken to a very remote area of Australia, and her captor doesn't harm her, but she is there for a very long time, and he is the only other human she has to interact with. And so, of course, they do have a relationship of some sort in there. There's a drastic change made towards the end of the book, and when it happened, there was just this war going on between my brain and my heart, and concerning what should have happened and how should things be and what did I want to happen. And so it was just this really unique internal dialogue that is very rare for me to find in a book, and for that reason I love that book. I gave it 5 stars out of 5, but the writing was excellent anyway. Number 3 on my list is actually a trilogy by Ben H. Winters called The Last Policeman. This is a pre-apocalyptic book. You're following Detective Hank Palace. Okay, technically he is a very new police officer, but it has been announced that an asteroid is going to hit the Earth in about 6 months, and it's going to be devastating. And the only question is, are you going to die immediately, or is it going to take a couple of weeks? And that's going to depend on where it hits and that kind of stuff. Some people quit their jobs and go off to be bucket listers and try to complete things on their bucket list. Some people hole up with their family and try to keep everybody safe. Some people turn to religion. Some people turn to anarchy. There are all these responses. The awesome thing is, you're watching this all through Hank Palace's eyes, and he's not responding at all. He's just trying to keep working and keep doing what he's always done. So it's interesting to reflect on, how would I respond? How would I act differently than I act in my normal day-to-day if I had this information? Which, of course, would depend on how people around me act, too. But it was just fascinating to think about and to see the choices that all these various side characters make. And it goes right down to the time of impact. So I really enjoyed this trilogy. The main character is a little dry, so if you have to have, you know, a sassy, emotional main character, it might not be the series for you, but I absolutely adored it. I think I gave all of the books 4 stars, if I remember right. Maybe one of them 5. Can't remember. Number 4 on my list is How It Went Down by Kekla Magoon. And this was a book that I just picked up on a whim at a local bookstore, Barnes & Noble. It is set in the inner city. It is mainly about Tariq. He is a 16-year-old African-American youth in an urban setting. There are gangs in the area. When Tariq is leaving a kind of like a convenience store, grocery store type place, and he is shot and killed by an older white man. So there are some parallels to the whole Ferguson situation. This book was published after the Ferguson situation happened. So, but the press had started to die down on it, the media, when I picked this up, and I did not realize that it was going to pick back up. So as I'm reading this, the media picks back up on it because there start to be the hearings about whether the officer is going to be prosecuted or did he do anything wrong. This book is told in multiple perspectives. There are people who are related to Tariq, who went to school with Tariq, members from the nearby gang. They think he was part of the gang. His friends don't think he was. Did he have a weapon? Did he not? Did somebody try to cover that up? What is the situation with the shooter? There are some perspectives from people who knew him. There are just all kinds of side perspectives, too, of people who weren't there. There's a Jesse Jackson type character in the story. The fascinating thing is no one person whose perspective you get has a complete picture. Now, you as the reader do end up with a pretty complete picture by the end, but essentially it shows that no one knows how it went down because all the pieces are fragmented and even the media can't put them together. So this one really made me think about when something is covered in the news, if we're not getting the complete picture, what vital pieces of information are we missing? And then we're reacting on social media and things like that to these situations when we may not have the complete picture. So what does that mean? And it led me to think further into even carrying it into like a trial situation where someone's on trial for a crime. How do you ever get a really accurate picture to help make a decision? It just really highlighted how blurry those lines could be, and it was just so timely, and it's very well written, and it was a very fast-paced read, very interesting. And number one on my list is Sold by Patricia McCormick, and this book just rocked my world, just shook my foundation when I read it. Of course, I'm from the United States. I lead a very comfortable life, but I tend to complain about things from time to time. And man, when I start to feel down now, all I have to do is think about this book and the situation that this young character was in. Her name's Lakshmi, and she's 13 years old from Nepal. And her family is just desperately poor. And their crops are wiped out in a monsoon, and they just can't afford to feed everybody anymore. So there is an opportunity to go become a maid in a nearby town, and so her family decides that is the best thing for her to do. Well, it turns out she's really been sold into prostitution, and she's so powerless to do anything about it, and it is just a heartbreaking situation. It just really, really affected me to think that people might have to go through that. So anytime now that I start to feel down on my life, I just think about this book, and yeah, that gives me the right perspective again. And I know that I'm not really going through anything compared to what some people do. Sorry for getting emotional. I'm not a very emotional person, but that book gets to me. So of course it made me think, and that was the point of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and happy reading.